the official UK Beef Magazine podcast. Hi guys, welcome back to the UK Beef Magazine podcast. My name is Z, I'm one of your co-hosts, and I'm really excited to be back with you if you're a returning listener. And if this is your first time, a big welcome to the UK Beef Magazine podcast. I'm very excited to be here with my co-hosts Robbie Anchant and Neale Cranwell. Gents, could you just say a quick hi to the listeners?
Hello! Hi Rob, how you doing? How are we doing, chaps? Very well.
And
good.
Obviously, if this is your first time here with us on the UK Beef Magazine podcast, I'd just like us just to introduce yourselves and just give us a quick who you are. Rob, could you get us started?
Yeah, I'll go first. Hi, my name's Robbie Anchant, also known as Rob the Monster. I have been doing bodybuilding now for probably about 26 years and training people for about 20 years. I have a degree in biochemistry and biotechnology and a master's degree in medical genetics with immunology. I usually know what I'm talking about, but I will talk a lot of crap, so I do apologise about that.
That's great, cheers, eh? And Neale, could you just let the guys know who you are if they haven't heard the first podcast, or if they maybe haven't heard of you?
Yeah, sure. I'm Neale Cranwell. I'm the owner of Crunch Gym. I've owned it for 10 years. I've been competing in bodybuilding myself for 20 years, same as Rob there. I've probably done over 60 competitions in that time. Won titles such as Mr. Universal, European Championships, World Championships throughout them. And I still do it now at 41. So I'm still kicking the old man game strong.
Brilliant, that's fantastic. Now, guys, these guys have, between them, they've got years and years of experience. Now, obviously, my name's Z, and I'm just one of your average gym blokes. I actually went into Neale's gym a couple of months back, and just been training for a long while now, and just sort of going through the motions. But I went into Neale's gym, and it was a completely different atmosphere, and I've just been training with him a couple of times, listening to his takes on nutrition and the psychology behind bodybuilding, and it's just really just ramped up my training and my whole approach to the gym and life and lots of things. And I'm just really excited now to be able to be here with them. And so that's us, guys. We're just going to dive straight into it. Like I said, we've got lots to discuss today. If you were in the last podcast, you'd have known that we were going to the British PCA Bodybuilding Finals. So Neale was actually taking part in that. Now, that was on Sunday, and basically what we want to know, Neale, how did you feel going into it? How did you feel about the competition? What are your thoughts now? Obviously, it's been a couple of days. I'm going to leave you to sort of run through all the details about what happened directly from you, because we went up there to support you, and it was great. We enjoyed the show, but let us know from your point of view, mate. We'd like to hear from you.
I got 3 words to sum it all up. Yeah. I was robbed.
Yeah.
So I mean, to be honest, the prep I'd done for it was I've been doing preps for, as I said, competing for 20 years. That went fine. My prep went fine. I'm lucky with my metabolism. I've learned over the years what works for me. I'm a carb guy, so I get to eat carbs. I don't have to diet like amazingly low carbs in order to get shredded. I can always get shredded, and that's trial and error over the years. But I never have to suffer like perhaps I did try in the past, and perhaps other people do on their super low carb diets in order to get there. So that side of things is fine. I don't find the prep side of it hard at all. I enjoy the diet process. I enjoy the routine of it, and my prep went fine. I normally get ready 2 or 3 weeks early, so I just have to kind of tread water into the show, and all that really does is take away the stress and lets your body kind of just get a little bit harder as the time ticks away. The kind of downside to that is, you could compete the next weekend coming, but you've still got a couple to go, and it does become a little bit monotonous and boring, because you could really just you know, manipulate your water and get on stage. But I always prefer to get myself ready, and any clients I prep to get ready a couple of weeks before, because it takes a lot of variables out of the way, and the stress and the pressure of doing some crazy things people do in the final week. So I don't do that anymore. So normally, and I say normally because in this case it failed me, which I'll get to, but I mean, normally I don't have any of this tiredness or this depleted feeling or over dehydrated stuff on the day, because I just simply don't change the variables too much. Because if you're looking really well and you've been eating a certain way for a long period of time, 12, 16 weeks, and you're holding condition, looking really good, a couple of weeks out, why change things very much? You know, you just need to carry on with what you're doing, and really you're going to feel fine on the day, 'cause it's no different than any other day. Which is basically what I'd done this time. I'd competed at Body Power. I won the Body Power show on the Saturday. I then entered the pro show that followed on the Sunday, and I didn't win that. I don't know where I placed in that. I was placed out of the top 5. The top 5 was all that was awarded, but that was another level. The pro show guys were very good, so I wasn't disheartened by that. And then I had a holiday straight after that, a week away with my other half, which was great, but I didn't splurge. I trained every day. I ate lots of fresh food, and obviously I didn't weigh my food and any of that stuff. And I had a few like treats here and there, but it wouldn't be like I typically do post show, where I just smash the world and its dog and break a rib, you know, from eating too much. You know, I ate a lot of fresh, healthy food in a hot country where you don't tend to want to eat junk food. You want to eat sort of salady stuff and stuff. So I actually came back from holiday, and I think I gained 1 kilo. I hardly gained any weight at all. It didn't look much different. So to get back to stage ready, you know, 3 weeks after that, you know, I was back there within a week. And I just tread water light, and what I'd done for the finals, I just copied what I'd done for Body Power, and it's what I've done for, you know, for the last few years, to be honest, with the way I do things. And as I say, I don't really pull things around too much, because then you do feel bad. But basically, I woke up on the day, well, the night of the show, I slept really bad, but everyone does. But it wasn't just I was sleeping badly. I had some hot and cold sweats, and I felt a bit ropey and ill. I was in a hot hotel, and I couldn't cool down, and that kind of thing, which affects you and annoys you, but you don't tend to sleep very well anyway, like with the nerves or the anxiety or just, you know, the thinking about the competition the following day. And then I went to get my tan done in the morning, and to walk from my hotel to the hotel where the tanner was, which is literally walking over, you know, a block, is like walking 5 minutes. It was no walk at all. The thought of like that walk there with my holder, you know, full of food for the day, I didn't know. I just felt absolutely strained in getting there. Everything felt really hard and heavy, and I felt really tired, and things just were blurred. You know, my vision was blurred. I felt dizzy. I felt really dehydrated. Now, as I said, I don't really manipulate things too much, and all I do is lower my water a little bit. And what I mean by that is, if I've been drinking 8 litres of water, I might drink 5. Do you see what I mean? So it's not huge. I just won't bundle it in me like I would leading into a show. I'll just cut it back slightly. So, you know, if I pee, I'll drink back half the amount I peed roughly, you know. So I'm slowly dehydrating a little, because I'm not replacing exactly what I've peed, but that helps you bring in slightly more condition without feeling rough, and that's something I've done over the years.
That's interesting.
So it's kind of a very sensible approach, and that's what I've done at Body Power, and it worked fine. And you know, so I felt dehydrated, and you know, I feel like very kind of like low blood sugary, where you're feeling very dizzy and nauseous, and you know, everything around you swirling, and that happened all the time. And you know, I ate carbs on the day. I ate lean proteins, things that digest fast. Nothing seemed to help there. I added some fats to some of the meals, because sometimes when they digest too quickly, it doesn't help you sustain your energy. So adding some fat slows the gastric tract and slows the food down. So adding some like coconut oil to my meals and to my rice and that kind of thing, and it didn't really make any difference. I actually have a blood glucose monitor, so I checked to see what my blood glucose levels were, and they were totally normal and fine. So I wasn't going hypo or anything like that, you know. And I didn't feel like particularly like I just felt off. I can't really put my finger on it, but I felt like I was slightly dehydrated and slightly low blood sugar. But obviously I was drinking, like over the course of the day, I drank about 4 litres of water or so. And, I continually like nibbled at food and ate food like you would on show day and checked my blood glucose through the day. And it was always fine. I think at one point through the day it dropped to 3.8, which is low. But it was time to eat then anyway, which I'd done. But normally in them situations, you eat 30 minutes later, you feel good. But it just weren't happening. I just weren't feeling it.
So have you ever felt like that before at any other competitions? Was that something you'd felt before?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I've done 60 shows, and out of all them shows, I've won the World Championship in 2010, and it was in Spain, a really, really hot country at the time. It was really hot there, and it was in this building which was super, super hot. I actually competed in that competition was had Rob Ronaldo and Ricardo come over with me, and like Ricardo's now a pro, and he was such a smaller version of he is today. But I remember them guys coming out with us, and it was a good competition. But I felt it then, and then I was a single guy, didn't have 2 kids, so I just wanted to win no matter what, and didn't care if I died in doing so. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't drink any water at all. I just like, right, this must be means I'm looking mustard because I feel like absolutely terrible. So let's keep pushing. That's like the crazed bodybuilder fanatic inside of you. And, like I stripped off the pump up and felt terrible, but I could see everyone looking at me, at this show in 2010. So I knew there was a reason. They tend to kind of keep glaring over if you look like the standout guy. So I went on stage totally dehydrated, and literally I got through it somehow. I don't remember being on stage because I was so delirious, and I actually fainted off stage as I came to the side, and the ambulance had to take me to hospital on that occasion. And I remember getting out of the hospital, grabbing the cab, shooting back to the venue so I could be there for the evening show and not get checked into the hospital no matter what my health was like in order. And I won the show. But mate, took me I was in a bad state when I went back to the hotel for days. I was in a really bad way. It was like this very odd place, but I'd won this World Championship, so who cared, but now, as I say, I've got 2 kids, and I was at this Body Power Finals with my 5-year-old Luca, and I had to drive him home from Birmingham to Essex, which is a good 3 hours. And, he's come to see his dad in his first competition, and I wanted him to enjoy the experience, not have his dad, basically just wanting to lie on the floor, curl up into a ball and just hope it's all over. Which is how I was most of the day. And I absolutely hated the day because I love bodybuilding. One of the I love the bit on stage and the competing and catching up with your friends that are involved in it at these shows. And normally I'm quite good because I don't change the variables, so I've got a normal amount of energy to have conversations and have fun with the day and enjoy the experience. And if you can't enjoy what you're doing, why do it? So, I didn't enjoy any of this, but I mustered it through because I didn't know how Luke would understand why we're going home and we're not going to do the competition after sort of sitting around for 3 or 4 hours. And I thought, I better pull the plug on this at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon because unless I leave now, I'm slowly feeling worse and worse and I'm never going to make the drive home. I even looked at staying the night, an extra night, and checking Luca out of school. Supposed to be at school the following day, just because I didn't drive home and take the risk. I was really not well. So what I'd done to try and help myself get through it, and I wanted to kind of be there on stage for Luca, was drink more water because it felt like dehydration. And I thought it's not my blood sugar. I've added electrolytes back in. I've added salts in. I've eaten things. I've added, some fast digesting foods, junk foods like Pringles and stuff, which normally make you feel pick you up as well. Put in some simple sugars. Basically, I've done all the things you wouldn't do.
All the protocols.
When you start. All the protocols you don't do if you're adding tons of water back in on top of them, because that's going to just blur your condition. Especially when you've been doing it since 9 a.m. in the morning and you're not getting on stage till 7 p.m. So you're going to blur your condition over the course of that day. But I was like, unless I do this, I'm not going to compete. and Luca's not going to get to see me on stage. So by the time I got on stage, I don't know, the thought of how to pump up and get on stage was like beyond me. But fortunately, actually, Robbie was with me, you know, like a voice in my ear. Come on, we can do it. Let's just do it for Luca. Let's just get a pump on there. We can do it. It's only, you know, several minutes on stage. We're here now. We've gone too far. So, you know, with Robbie behind me, started pumping me up, and I started actually feeling better. You know, started pumping up, started feeling alive, and started actually enjoying the pump up process. And I think it felt like the food and everything I'd done and whatever sort of got stuck in me. And by moving it around, I started feeling better in myself and coming awake. Not so delirious, not so double vision, but it was still there. Don't get me wrong. It's just I could deal with it. So that went on backstage, and then I felt okay, but I could see in the mirrors certain things weren't there, like in terms of like your lines and conditioning, which normally would be there on me, like higher cuts through your legs and like feathers through your quads and things that I had the day before and, you know, days before, weeks before leading into this, and slowly dispersed with all the obviously odd foods that I'd tried eating in the attempt to try and bring me out of this. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't just shovel all of these foods in me at once. I tried some carbs, tried some fast carbs, left it half an hour or so, and saw what the difference was. After no result, okay, let's put some, some electrolytes in. You're obviously dehydrated. Let's increase your water and put some electrolytes in. That should balance you out. It didn't. Another hour go by, do the same again. You know, and as I say, over the course of a long day, you end up kind of hitting so many different variables. You're not going to look in your best condition. And I didn't. And I knew I didn't, you know, pumping up backstage. And, you know, by that point, I didn't care that I didn't look my best, because I just wanted to get through it and survive it and not collapse on stage or anything that would embarrass me in front of Luca to explain to him what happened. And you know, and to try and enjoy what I've got left of the day, because as I was feeling slightly better, and you know, be able to drive home and get home and carry on with my life. And so, you know, I actually thought I was very fortunate to come 5th out of 16, because like, I'm the sort of person that unless I feel I look my best, I'd rather come last. Like, unless I feel I look my best and I can take the top spot because I look as good as I can look, 5th place or 10th place or last place is all losing, you know? So for me, I compete to win. I don't compete to sort of make the numbers up. I don't compete to get in the top 6. I think it's a very hard and arduous journey to take if you're just if you're just prepping to make a top 6. Like, you have to go through them dark places in the diet and prep and tired training moments and tired diet moments and think, I'm doing this because I need to do that a little bit more than the next guy. I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this. You need that drive inside of you, that fire. If you're doing that with I'm just going to make the numbers, I'm trying to get in the top 6, you're never going to look the best you could look, because you're not putting your whole everything into it. So, you know, I'm not that person. But on this occasion on stage, I felt that person. And I was really happy to come 5th. The lineup was fantastic regardless. Even if I looked my best, I think if I looked my best, I'd be fighting to be in the top 3. But in the top 3, it could have gone anyway. The guys that placed above me, I've beaten them previously in competitions when I was in much better condition. But they were in better condition than me on this on this day. And I think, to be honest, that, you know, I'm older than I used to be, and you know, I'm like 41 now, and when I've been in these situations before, I've been in my 20s or in my 30s, and your body sort of bounces back more so than it does when you're older. And through this prep, I had lots of little health issues, and I became ill, you know, for periods of a week here and there along the way, and there was lots of little illness setbacks, and certain signs in my body sort of started to show me that things weren't happy, which I wouldn't normally get, you know, when I was, you know, in my younger years. But things sort of show you that it's not as easy on your body as you're older. So it wasn't the easiest prep in that respect. And I mean, I'm glad I've done it, and I'm actually glad in a way that the placing and the situation of me feeling really like unhealthy and unwell on the day happened, because it shook me up. It did actually scare me a little, and it wouldn't normally scare me, but it scared me now because I've got 2 kids and my priorities are so different now. And I didn't really realise that until this occurred. And now I thought, okay, so I love bodybuilding, but I don't love it as much as my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a very honest take.
Basically, that's basically it in a nutshell, really.
Well, what
I'm still Rob, though.
Rob, can I bring you in on that? Like, obviously, Neale's. Thank you very much, Neale. That's a very honest take about how, and I'm sure if any guys are listening and they're thinking about becoming a bodybuilder, that is very interesting insight. But I'm going to pick up on something that Neale was just talking about, the placing. Now, Robbie, I was sitting next to you for parts of the competition, and you were calling the winners out as they walked out when there was groups of 26 of them, and you were calling winners out. It was I couldn't really see what they were looking for, but you sort of seemed to have the eye. So, could you just talk me through a bit about placing, what the judges are looking for, and then we'll talk specifically about the result with Neale, because I have some opinions on that, but I want to hear from you first, if that's all right. Just about placing.
That's cool, yeah. Well, it's quite easy, really. What happens is myself and Neale are also judges and stuff, and it's really good being on the other side. It's really good being on the other side of the chair sort of thing, because being on stage and stuff, I've done so many competitions myself, and you're always wondering, what is it the judges are looking for? What do they want to see? And this time, being behind the chair and actually judging people, you can really see now what the judges see. So the best way, as I think I explained it to you on the day, is you look at the people who are not going to sort of make it to the last 6, for example. And what you do is, rather than looking at the people who could make it to the top 6, you immediately sort of take out the people who aren't going to make it to the top 6, and you go, right, that one's sort of that, and you just go down the line. And then what will happen is, once you've eradicated those people, just remember, you don't even see them as people; they're literally just bodies on that stage. So I think the important part is to not take it personally. That's really hard, because obviously everyone's worked so hard to be on that stage, and for them to not make it into the second stage, it must be heartbreaking, because there must have been, out of 26 athletes, only 6 come, or 6 or 5 come back. It's just, don't get me wrong. I've been there. I've done that. I've been on that. I've been in that 20 who didn't come back a few times, and it's not a nice thing. But basically, what you look for are the ones who are going to kind of make it, and then you see what the judges are kind of looking for. As in, what they'll try and do is, there's the great thing about bodybuilding is there's so many different shapes and sizes and to look at, So you kind of look for a few things. You look for definition usually in the ab area, because as soon as you look at definition in the ab area, it will tell you straight away how cut or how toned a particular athlete actually is, depending on the group, of course. If you're looking at, I'm talking specifically about where abs are important in certain groups, for example, but abs probably wouldn't be important in untoned bikini, for example. They wouldn't be looking for toned abs, and they wouldn't be looking for cut legs. But something like men's physique, yes, you're going to look for those sorts of things. And then there's also shape of muscles, muscle bellies we call them. So you're looking for nice kind of like rounded belts, you're looking for a good chest. Not so big on the arms in the physique section and the athletic section. But then you're just looking at the shape of the body, whether the person's waist comes down to a V. And those sorts of things are most sort of favourable, as in like from shoulder width to ab width, for example. So the tighter that V comes in, the more sort of spectacular the rest of the physique will actually look. See, because over the last few years, the problem with gaining a lot of mass is you tend to have this sort of sticky out stomach on stage, distended look on stage, and it's not the yeah, you do see that a lot. You'll see that a lot with bigger bodybuilders. So the guys, for example, who have a lot of mass, they tend to also have the biggest sort of stomachs. And to be honest, the two kind of go hand in hand, because that's the first place food goes in, and the last place it comes out of on the body. You'll start to lose, whenever you go on a diet, the first place you'll lose muscle is like your legs and your arms and everywhere else apart from the stomach. Stomach's usually the last place to sort of lose lose fat, for example. So so that's pretty straightforward, really. You just look at the numbers, you look at the people, and also you just look and just you can see it by eye usually. If you're a good judge, you can usually tell top 6, top 3, just on a look, really. And it's kind of instinctual. Usually, I would say you kind of go with your instincts. But what I like about the judging panel is the fact that you have 6 or 7 judges, all with completely different ideas of who is at the top. And what they do is then they'll pool their results, and the person with the lowest score will probably win it. So what tends to happen, what I've seen happen quite a few times, is a person will literally come second for 5 of those judges. Yeah, and another person will come first, but then another judge will have them in 4th, another judge will have them in 5th, another judge will have them in 2nd, and the other judge will have them in 1st again, or something like that. And even though 2 judges have that guy in 1st, he doesn't actually come 1st. The second guy comes 1st, because if you add up all the scores, the lowest score, exactly. Okay. So the lowest score wins. So it's quite interesting. So sometimes the obvious first place guy doesn't actually win. So it's actually quite interesting how that sort of works out. I've always found that quite interesting. And to be honest, I have to admit, without the bias, there was a bit of bias in Neale's class, because obviously I was helping get him pump up and get ready backstage, and he's best mate and stuff. So obviously I really wanted him to win, but I thought he looked good enough to win. Yes, I think he did lose a tiny bit of condition throughout the day with his illness and stuff, but I didn't think it was going to be enough to actually stop him from winning.
I've had a chance because I recorded a lot of footage, took a lot of pictures. The standard of competitors was actually really high, and
it was.
It almost looked like you were nitpicking as to what was wrong rather than finding the best frame. But what I did want to say, the guy that won Neale's class, this is quite interesting. I'm putting this to either of you, Neale or Robbie. The guy who won Neale's class, and I've just been looking at the pictures. Neale, he and Neale were actually, I was robbed. 1st and 2nd. So Neale beat him 3 weeks ago at Body Power. And the guy, I'm not going to mention it, I'm not going to sort of dwell on, but the guy is not as big as any of the, he was probably the smallest guy in the category class. I mean, he's got a good frame, but if you're looking for size, if you were there to be, to show that you have built your body a bodybuilder, he wasn't the biggest bodybuilder on stage. So he wasn't the biggest, but he probably had shape. I was confused as to how he could have placed to the point where he's beaten every other big bloke on the stage. And I mean, I was a bit, just maybe a bit biased, but I was really thrown by that decision.
Well, like I said, it could have been that decision I sort of just explained, where he might have got seconds all the way across the board, but literally sort of everyone else got all higher numbers here and there. So it could have been that, or he might have had the smallest waist to shoulders ratio on the day. But saying that, he wasn't the most cut athlete or the biggest, so it's really difficult to know exactly how they've chosen him. And for him to be, let's just say, 4 places above Neale, and considering Neale beat him 3 weeks ago,
this is what
me it was quite a strange call, to be honest, because he wasn't the biggest guy, he wasn't the most defined, and he was sort of like a little bit of everything sort of thing, if you get what I mean. He didn't have tons of mass, wasn't the nose cut guy, wasn't the biggest guy, probably had the nicest frame. I think he almost, to be honest, he looked like probably maybe the most athletic, or on that stage, as in wide shoulders, small waist, big legs. I don't know. I can't judge it. I couldn't judge that for the simple reason I know that I'm biased towards Neale, and I think that's the biggest problem you've got to realise, your own biases as a judge, especially if you know the competitors. So yeah, my bias was with Neale, so therefore I don't think I could have been a fair judge at that particular show.
That's fair enough. I mean, so we're talking like subjectivity for the judges. It's a very subjective sport, and I think Neale's touched on this a couple of times. So Neale, I'm just going to bounce this one back to you. Actually, how do you deal with that subjectivity from the judges? It's very subjective, and that must be psychologically quite tricky to deal with. How do you? Because I'm struggling with it slightly. Just with I had an opinion of who should have won, and a couple of weeks that opinion was sort of in line when you did one, and then today and then on Sunday that was really thrown out. So how do you deal with that subjectivity and the opinion?
I mean, years gone by, I used to get pissed off by it. I mean, I remember doing competitions. I'd done a European Championships, and I was sure I'd won. I was really conditioned, and I'd worked really hard for it. And I lost to some guy that looked like he was soft or even fat backstage. And I'm like, how does that happen? And how do I come second if I'm the most ripped on stage? And then it bounces back to the third place guy who's again quite soft. Like, why? If you're looking for mass, just choose mass. And the conditioned guys get left out, or vice versa. Like generally, in the past, things like judging would have pissed me off. But, I'm older, wiser, longer in the tooth, and c'est la vie. To me, I compete for myself and to be a better me, and to give me a drive in the gym to try and, to keep pushing them horrible heavy weights down and up and down on your back, week in, week out, and to try and challenge and beat yourself. But for me, I need a goal to do that, and competing is my event and my goal in order to do it. So the result is almost a kind of, it doesn't need to be, like a winning result all the time. As long as I feel that the progress I've made because I've been aiming at something has been rewarding enough. But in this situation, I don't really know how the winner won that, because I've actually thought he looked more conditioned at Body Power than he did at the finals, and I actually thought the guy that came second looked very good. I mean, he had a huge amount of muscle, and I think the guy that came third was very similar in frame and size, and he had a lot of muscle on him as well. So it kind of like laid it out for me that like they're looking at the guys with a bigger muscle because they've come second or third. Still had nice shape. They're still, cut, but could have been a bit harder. I mean, the guy that comes second got a little bit harder. He would have nailed that class fight. He door shut. And this is bodybuilding, and so you need to like a bodybuilder on stage. It's all great having a tiny waist, big shoulders, and stuff like that, but that's men's physique or classic class or muscle model or any of the above. That's what that's all about. I mean, bodybuilding is still about having loads of muscle and getting it peeled as crazy you can, and people want to see his body and go, wow, that's freaky shit up there, I mean, that's why all these other classes have been created to give, this aesthetic, beautiful, Bob Harris kind of physique or Frank Zaney sort of small waist look, a platform, and I think it's fantastic that these options are there now. Yeah. It seems strange that you still get awarded for that in bodybuilding, where they're actually really heavily muscled bodybuilders that possibly a better place for the day. But at the same time, having said that, I think the guy that won has got a fantastic potential, and he has got the most potential to add loads of muscle to that frame out of everyone that was on that stage, probably in the day. Going forward, if he carries on what he's doing. And he used to be a viewer of my Active Channel series, so it's all thanks to me. But now I must say that the student becomes a master as he takes my title. Yeah, I was robbed, anyways. But apart from that, no. So fair play to him. I'm glad, like he's young and he's got loads of desire and potential, and he will, if he carries on what he's doing, I'd imagine being a really, really, really good, heavily muscled, structured bodybuilder, as long as he don't get out of control with things that can distend your stomach, and he'll look, he's got loads of places to go.
He's got potential. That's one thing I won't take away from him. But like you were just saying, I think in my opinion, I thought he could have been more of a men's muscle sort of athlete if you ask me, he wasn't in the out and out bodybuilding category. That's what was confusing me slightly. That's just my my novice take on it, to be honest.
Well, it's like Arnold back in the day. You remember when Frank Zane beat Arnold and the controversy surrounding that, because Frank Zane had nowhere near the muscle mass that Arnold had, and for him to actually beat Arnold, I just remember there being controversy over that for years. I think even 2 decades after that call, I think I think there was still controversy over it. People going, I can't believe that. Remember that happened? Yeah. Everyone remembers Frank Zane beating Arnold. Everyone, definitely, because Frank Zane was half his size. He had nice shape and stuff. He just did not have Arnold's size though at all. So yeah, I mean this does happen a lot here and there.
But as a competitor, so you can't dwell on it too much, because this is the sport. There's no start and finish line. We're not running a race and the first person over it's a clear winner. You've got a panel of judges, and rightly so, because everyone's got a slightly different opinion in what's the right look for that category. And some people like heavily muscled guys, some people like really conditioned guys because that's appealing, some people like the nice shapes, but ideally you'd have a package of all three. But that's why you've got a panel of judges, so but that, and whether you win, come second, or you come last, like, you shouldn't be doing the sport if you're going to moan at the judges, because I judge in federations, and so does Rob. And it's so hard to judge. I mean, there's one thing sitting on the audience and go, yeah, he's won, he's second, he's third, without really looking into it in depth. When you're on a judging panel, you're looking pose for pose, body part for body part. And when it's close, you'll be taking, one score away from one and adding one to another. And it takes time to get it right. It does take time to get it right. And it's a hard thing to do, especially when you're sat there all day long, day long. And you're judging this for for free. It's something you're doing as a thank you back to bodybuilding. They don't get paid. They spend their weekends, a lot of weekends a year, travelling away from their family and friends and doing social things to go and judge. And people criticise and moan at the judges, and I think it's unfair, because without the judges, there wouldn't be the competitions. So, it's a hard thing to do, and these judges aren't getting paid anything. I don't know what people think. People must think that they're paid this and it's their job, and it pays for them to have a house and stuff, but it doesn't. They're doing it on top of their job. So, I mean, I would never really. I mean, there are a few federations that the judging isn't there at all, and the panel of judges as such just sit together like a load of haggling old witches conspiring who they like me.
What we'll do is we'll get onto that. That's going to lead us nicely onto one of our other topics, one of our other questions. But just very quickly, either of you guys, were there any standout competitors on the day? Because it was the final, so it was the finals. Everyone that had been there, everyone that was there was like the winner of their regional or of competitions before. Everyone had to qualify to be there, so it was really high-handed. Was there any standout competitors for you? I know there was a couple for me. Anyone stick out in your mind?
There was a couple for me, yeah. I mean, I really like. I mean, I'm friends with and train sometimes at the same gym as Tom Coleman, who won the men's muscle model, and that was a huge lineup. And when he come out, he just stood out. And it's hard to stand out when everyone looks really good. And Tom is like a bodybuilder, but has got the aesthetic, qualities, and doesn't get too depleted or too dehydrated and too ripped, and that's the look they want. They want nice, fresh, healthy looking bodies, and he brought that to the stage, and he's got good stage presence, and he stood out. And so I'm glad he won, because he's a local Essex boy as well, and I do train at the same gym as him sometimes, so that was nice to see, and I think he definitely deserved that. He stood out there, and obviously the overall winner, Randeep, looked insane. His conditioning was insane. I mean, I love conditioning, which is why I've always proved to try and bring the best condition I can. And I know how hard it is to get that. You have to push some dark places in order to do so. Do slightly more than other people want to do. And he obviously done that. I mean, I saw him at Body Power with Rob, and he showed us his top up for me and Rob, and I was like, what the hell? That is like 4-dimensional, like midsection. It's crazy, but that was at Body Power. I didn't think you could top that, and he certainly topped that.
He did,
finals.
didn't he? He really did.
Look good.
Yeah.
I mean, getting that peeled made him look so much bigger than everyone else because he was like, as I say, 4D. He looked fantastic.
Because he placed second after Chris Jones at Body Power. I think he was second.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And so you reckon he got more cut for the finals?
Well, he just held his condition so well, didn't he? He really held his condition, and I think he probably nailed it even tighter.
No, I do. I think he did. I mean, there's some photos knocking around on the PCA Facebook of him backstage. There's one with Dean Lesiak, and he looks like, he looks like he's the winning trophy himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He looks really good. I think he looks. I think
I'm going to put him on my mantelpiece, definitely.
If he goes missing,
I mean, I certainly think he looks better than he did at Body Power. You know, he certainly did. I mean, he stood out country mile at the finals. He stood out of everyone to me the most, and he didn't do that at Body Power. So he definitely got it right. You know, most people want to peak for the finals. He certainly did. Well done. Well done up there.
Well done, mate.
Well, for me, it was Bernie. You know Bernie Cooper?
Yeah. The old boy, 71, I think.
71.
Yeah,
71. And he's still going strong. You know, he's the kind of guy who just inspires like other athletes and stuff. And he's a real good friend as well. He's a lovely, lovely fella. And for him to just be in that kind of insane condition, he just literally proves that like age is just simply a number.
He won the over 55s, didn't he?
Yeah. No, I don't think anyone. Yeah, imagine that, you won the over 55s at 71. I mean, like, that's just mental. He's like, how old is that? Is that 16 years? Yeah, he's 16 years over the 55, you know? Yeah. He's competing against guys who have 16 years on him, holding that much more muscle, I suppose, you know? And still he walks away with that top trophy sort of thing. Amazing. So for me, I adore Bernie, and I just I love what he does, and I love what he sort of represents. The way that, you know, he's everything. That fella. He's a judge. He's a competitor. He's a nice fella. He's a world champion. He's everything in bodybuilding. I think.
And did you know he's Lee Priest's dad?
What?
Oh, that would explain a lot, actually. Yeah, that would explain a hell of a lot.
Don't believe me. Search online. It's online. He's Lee Priest's dad. There's a video all about it.
Really? I've got a feeling that he could be your dad, Neale. But that's just between me and you. You guys really look the same. Are you sure? Because you got the same hairstyle. I mean, you know, I could literally put his head on your body and there wouldn't be that much difference.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, exactly. So yeah,
that's great. Anyone else stand out for you? Was that it, Rob?
Yeah, I think a few of the female competitors definitely stood out for you, Z.
Yeah,
or something was standing out for you. I couldn't quite work out what it was, but I just remember the camera lens getting all steamed up. So that was quite amazing.
No tripod needed.
Exactly. The funniest thing is he couldn't fall over, could he? He couldn't. What do you mean very impressed? He was right underneath them, and you know, put it this way, you know, he should be paid. He should have been putting £20 notes in their bikinis. That's what I thought he should have been doing. That's how close he was. And I mean, literally, they had his saliva on their ankles. It was horrible to see. They were slipping all over the stage.
I was salivating. I was licking my lips. There's a big difference. I wasn't drooling. I was just like,
you were proper drooling. He was drooling,
and I had to keep licking my lips. It was just really dry lips. Like it happens.
Actually, there was one fun time I remember. He just was like, Rob, could you hold on to the camera? I've really got to go to the toilet, really badly, really badly.
To the toilet. No, you completely hijacked what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, there was a lot of standout competitors in the bikini category. One particular,
I'm sure there were.
Kerry Sexton. Yeah, I've added her on Instagram. She was really up. Like, she stood out.
Stalker.
Total stalker. Absolute stalker. Kerry, if you're listening to this, Watch out for this man. Look out your window every night. Make sure his little eyeballs aren't staring back at you.
This is like, if I did have any chances, you probably killed them. Thanks.
Oh no! Don't worry. You had no chance. But don't worry about that. She's.
There's plenty of others you've added on Instagram, I'm sure.
Yeah, plenty of others to perv on, so you're fine. Don't worry about it.
But no, like for me, it was very difficult to judge the women's categories. I couldn't see who was winning it all right up until they called the last three. But she was actually one of the ones that stood out for me. Like I called it sort of as they all walked out. So very well done to her. Very big well done to her. And Mikhail Wright, that's the other guy. I don't know if you know him. He was in the novice category, but he's huge. He looks like he could have easily been in the bodybuilding categories and held his own, and probably placed, if not come in top 3 for one of the categories. But he was a novice. So I'm thinking to myself, if I'm going to be entering as a first timer, these are the sorts of guys I'm going to be competing against. That was quite intimidating, but he did well. He looked really good, Mikhail, right, as a novice anyway. But that's who stood out for me. I had a good time anyway. That truth be told, I mean, it was just a bit of a shame with the result because we went up to support Neale, but subjectively, I thought you should have brought home the trophy. And but that's like Neale said, that's how it goes.
See, I disagree. I don't want to win unless I feel I've done everything and I looked the best I could to be the winner. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a false win. It's a false glory. Yeah. I'm happy with where I came. It's a life lesson, and these things are good to happen. To get knocked right back to 5th, it's like it grounds you, makes you pick up. It makes you the man. That's what makes a champion. It's not the winning. It's the losing and picking yourself up and coming back a better you. And that's like Rocky went on about in one of his sort of last films, and that's played over in a lot of motivational speeches and stuff. Now it's really true. So it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It's all adds to the emotion of the sport.
Absolutely. I mean, my favourite trophy is actually my 6th place trophy, because it was a little trophy, and I used to put it on the corner of my desk, and I used to look at it saying, you know what, I'm never coming 6th again. Nice. And I didn't. I mean, I came 4th out of 2 people, so that wasn't bad. I never came 6th again, though, so that was important.
wait, can we just go through that bet again? You came 4th out of 2 people.
Yeah.
Let me get a calculator out. So there was like basically 2 people.
Yeah,
so
I came
do so
4th.
Well in that one.
I did. I wasn't my best show. I had been dieting for all of about 2.5 hours. So it wasn't my best look ever.
So this is how not to win a show.
Yeah. Literally just turn up and just say, we need another person. Oh yeah. I'll put some pants on. Anyone got any lube? I need some oil. Someone oil me up. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Someone oiled me up and stuff. I went on stage, and I tried to hold my abs in, and I did the Homer test. Have you ever done the Homer test?
No.
The Homer test is quite simple. What you do is you wobble the belly, and you see how long it wobbles for before it sort of stops.
Wow.
So I did the Homer test. Yes, I did the Homer test, and it kept wobbling all the way while I was walking onto the stage. Yeah, so that didn't really work too well for me. And probably the hairy balls through the shorts didn't help either. Literally looked like Afro Thunder.
There is no situation where hairy balls will win anything.
No, exactly. I mean, literally, it looked like I'd stuffed Don King down my pants.
Oh,
really.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I don't think that's like one visual too far.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah.
Just briefly, guys, we're running out of time. We've still got a couple more bits to touch on. Now, we were at the PCA British Finals. That's obviously a federation, one of the federations in the UK. I'll throw this out to either of you. Obviously, that's a federation. There's other federations. Neale, why do you choose the PCA over the UK BFF or NABO or any other ones?
Well, I mean, I've competed with all of them, to be honest, so as you would do in 20 years. Robbie's probably the same. I ended up competing sort of the later years with the UK BFF, because they are one of the bigger federations. They hold the actual kind of real pro card, if you like, that takes you on to compete with the pros you look up to on TV, like Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, and the rest of it. So, if that's where if you really truly aspire to go, you need to compete with UKBFF, because that's the only pro card that will take you to the IFBB and internationally get you to the Olympia stage. So I competed with them for a long time because my wife, Georgia Simmons, George Cranwell now, competed with them in bikini, and you have to do everything together. They need you to be part of, all in or not in at all. So I've done that with her. But they look for aesthetics. They don't like big bloated stomachs at all. They don't like any abnormalities, like any site injections or the use of Synthol, that kind of thing. And that suits my frame very nicely. So, I'm not one of the guys that would compete with a hugely distended stomach and stuff, and I'm not the hugely most muscular guy, so that federation suits me. And I think, when you choose a federation, you choose one that suits your physique as well as the beliefs and the ethos of the federation. NABBA seem to be a very friendly, nice, great. They seem a great federation. I've competed with them a few times. But they do lean towards the more heavily muscled guys. Even if you've got like a distended stomach, that doesn't seem to go against you, as long as you've got tons of muscle to go with it to offset that. So I noticed in that federation the winners have a lot of muscle, and it's not necessarily the best looking on a frame, but pure muscle wins. So I don't compete with them because of that, really. And I've competed a lot with the IBFA, which are a really great federation. And they're very well judged. They're judged by bodybuilders that have been judges and competed for a long, long time themselves. And that's a fair federation, and they're great fun to be with. And they take you abroad. I've been abroad with them several times, and highly recommend them as well. It's just I've won everything I could win with that federation. So,
IBFA.
The IBFA, it doesn't lead on to a pro card. It doesn't lead on to anything else than repeating yourself every year. And, once you've done it once, or in my case, I've done it twice, it's it doesn't seem the point. It doesn't seem a point in going to do it again. Like, why, all you're doing is just repeating what you've already done. You can't really make history twice, if you like. So, the PCA is a new federation, and where I said I've competed with the UKBFF for years, well, the best judges, in my opinion, were all the judges that left the UKBFF and formed to the PCA. So, the judges that are now in charge of the PCA were my favourite, and what I thought were the most sort of the best, most sort of loyal and fair judges in the UKBFF. So they started the PCA. Robbie, stop rustling. Your chocolate bar wrapper.
Sorry.
Whatever you're doing. So it is, isn't it? It's chocolate.
Yeah, it is. I got my stick of Ripple here.
Oh wow! Yes, chocolate.
I'm just not sure which end to put it. I'm not sure. I'm still deciding. Should I give it to Z?
Why don't you double dip it?
I know.
Double dip it.
I could do a double dip. Yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Maybe I'll just break half off, half in my mouth and half in the other side. It'd be just like my wedding night. Oh my God.
That is just great.
Is that a leftover from the wedding? A reminder.
Oh my God, yeah. Tell me about it. I still can't walk properly. I can't walk in a straight line after my wedding. It's terrible. Honestly, don't do it. Don't do it. It was a hell of a night.
It's not supposed to go down that way, You're supposed to be the giver.
Really? No one ever told me that, you see. Oh, gosh. She wears the pants in my family and the strap-on. It's a nightmare.
Neale was actually explaining to us why he likes to be the PCA, one of the judges from the UKBFF. I was actually getting into that, and then you started crying. But just quickly finish off on that, because that was a very interesting point. So he's one of the judges, you were saying, from
not one of, no, the majority of the judges. Majority of the judges decided to leave because they were unhappy with the UKBFF, and they formed their own federation, the PCA. And it seemed like, you know, I actually competed in the UKBFF because of Georgia, but also because these judges were there. And if they weren't there, it felt like right to see what they could do in their federation as well. Unfortunately, in the UKBFF, you can't cross-compete in other federations. Otherwise, I may still do both. I may have rather still done both. But once you compete for another federation, you're banished. You are banished to the depths of hell by the UKBFF, never to be seen again. So if you make that choice, make it, you know, with that in mind, which I think is quite a hard thing to do, because it's hard to get in shape. And if you're in shape and there's 2 or 3 federations shows within the same month, you know, I don't see what the reason is to stop you doing it, especially if you get your peaking wrong slightly, but you want to correct it in the 2 or 3 weeks' time, but it's another federation. But it gives you a chance to work your body out rather than wait an entire year later to do a show again for the same federation and, you know, not know what worked or didn't. That seems like a hardship to me. So that's kind of the rules that they stick by. So whereas every other federation, apart from them, you can compete for whoever you want and they don't mind. So that's the only shame. So unless you want to become a pro to that level that you're competing with the big guys and you've got the muscle and the commitment and the rest of your life to spend on your money and your inheritance and the love of your family after a career as a pro bodybuilder, I think, you know, you're doing it for as, you know, a glorified hobby really, then I think other federations are available. But, you know, not to say I never enjoyed competing with UKBF. I did. They took me to the Arnold Classic, which I loved. It's a fantastic event and a great experience. So them options are there as well. They do take you abroad as well, but you just can't compete for anyone else. And I'm too old now. I'm too old to just compete for one federation. You know, so but I mean, that's my call on the feds. Really, they're all, you know, they're the main ones. There are other federations as well. There are natural federations which seem fairly judged and well run.
No, they're not. I tried to enter one of their competitions, and they turfed me out on my ear.
Were you testing positive for all sorts of gear with this natural?
No, not at all. Not at all. I tested positive for sperm. That's why I tested positive for. So they said, no, you're not allowed any of that. So I went, oh, all right, fair enough.
What's your what's your take on the federations? What's your view? It's very interesting because I'm obviously learning about the landscape of bodybuilding, and this is.
Well, think of it this way: none of the federations, you're not a paid athlete. Like, here's the deal: if I'm playing for Manchester United, I'm on a contract, and they give me such and such money every year. Therefore, I wouldn't also go and play for Arsenal because that really wouldn't be fair. So, because I'm being looked after by Manchester United, you see. Now, if I do the UKBFF, they're not paying me any wage whatsoever. They're going to fine me if I decide to do another federation, or they're just going to ban me for the whole year for doing that other federation. So it's not in my best interest to actually do that, if you see what I mean. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a paid athlete. They're not paying me anything. They're just, you know, stopping me from competing. Yeah, they're saying, right, do our stage, and that's it, nowhere else and stuff. But bodybuilding isn't. I don't think bodybuilding should be like that. Personally, if I'm in shape, I'm literally in shape for 4, 5, 6 weeks maximum. And during that 6 weeks, I want to do as many shows within that 6 weeks as I can. Now, if I've already qualified for a final, it doesn't make sense to keep doing those same shows and that same federation because I've already qualified for that final. You know, I want to just, you know, I'd like to be a champion of that there. I'd like to be a champion of that federation. I'd like to be a champion of the other federation. You know, I want to be a champion of lots of different federations, which in the past I have been. But that's what I'm saying. I need the option to actually compete. I don't want to have that option taken away from me because of politics. Because, you know, at the end of the day, bodybuilding is something I do for myself. Same with Neale. We do it for ourselves, and we enjoy it. And it's a love rather than a hardship in any particular way. So for other people to sort of take our freedom away, you know, it's like the end scene from Braveheart, really. That sort of thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? They won't take away our freedom. There you go. Same thing. You get yeah, exactly. You can take my willy, but you're not taking my freedom. See, that's the one.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Great
That's
film. Great film.
fantastic, mate. Well, guys, we're approaching the hour mark, and lots, as ever, guys, you've given us lots of insight into the bodybuilding, the contest mode itself. Looking ahead, I think in the next couple of podcasts, we're going to have a prep coach joining us. So just hopefully listen out for that. Lots planned, but. Just to finish off today's podcast, we welcome any questions. So if you do have any questions, obviously you've heard Robert Neale pretty much Google for bodybuilding. If you've got any questions about bodybuilding, like myself, I'm asking them questions constantly. Please don't hesitate to get in touch. I think the email that we're using is neale@crunchgym.co.uk, if that's correct.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, so
Neale's spelled slightly odd. It's Neale, and Crunch Gym spelled with a K. So if you can work that out, so it's Neale at KRUNCHGYM.co.uk.
Brilliant.
Do you know how long it took him to remember that, everyone? I just want you to know it was ages. He's been practicing that for weeks now. I'm amazed. He did a really good job. Give him a clap. Give him a clap.
Thank you.
Or give him, yeah, don't give him the clap. Give him a clap.
So guys, literally we're literally open to any and all questions. So just on that, guys, and we're going to get through these questions as quick as possible. We've got a couple of listener questions and we appreciate these. So first one I'm going to throw towards you, Neale. It's from a gentleman called Dave Howe Windsor. And he writes, Neale, I've read in the past that you literally broke your back training. You have had complete muscle tears in training, which can, for many people, be career-ending injuries. So here's the question part of it. How have you fought back from and physically overcome such setbacks? And what was that experience like? And do you attribute these injuries to your training style? Did you get that? It's a bit of a big question.
I've got that. I'm trying to remember it all. In a nutshell, yes, I've had lots of injuries. Unfortunately, I'm now the bionic man. I'm out of metal plates and pins and stuff I've had put back in me. But some of the injuries have come not out of the gym. I've had a motorbike accident on East Road, fast bikes, and had about 4 accidents on that. One of them led to me being paralysed from my neck down and spending a week in hospital, which was a horrible time, thinking that you can't move again. And not knowing if you would be able to, and just waiting every day to see if something, something moved, a foot, a toe, a knee, a finger. Bad times they were. I fractured both my arms, had them rebuilt with plates and pins. They were in full-length casts, both of them in them hanging slings. I don't know if you sort of remember the Carry On films, but basically, matron had to come and bed bath me, feed me. Everything. I mean, if I was scratching my head, I couldn't. I didn't have an arm. I couldn't feel. I couldn't move my legs. So that's something that would take me to. It was just bad, depressing, feeling like a vegetable.
It wasn't that bad, was it, Neale? I remember. I think you made a porno around that time as well, didn't you?
What was that called?
I think it was something with an invalid. I'm not quite sure.
Your porn collection astounds me.
It's pretty good, actually. It's quite extensive.
It's pretty crazy.
It's extremely extensive. It's amazing, actually. I think Neale would be so good in a dungeon and full casts. I think he'd be look amazing in that. Yeah, he'd be like, come here, matron. Come and give me that bed bath I wanted. I think it'd be hilarious.
You've got this far too much.
Yeah, I love Carry On films.
But sorry, we're just running out of time. So Neale, just very quickly, you were saying, how have you overcome this? And do you attribute these injuries to your training style? So obviously, we're hearing it's pretty bad.
So I mean that was bad. I've had other injuries that were made in the gym. I've torn my pec off flat benching completely and had it reattached, repaired. Took a year and a half to be totally fixed. I had 6 surgeries on it. Kept going wrong. I wasn't good either. I tore a bicep off tire flipping doing strongman training, and I broke my back strongman training also. So all of them, I'm not good. The breaking the back one was sort of second to the motorbike one, I would say, in terms of length of time and the way it affected me. Because obviously, if you break your back at L1-2, which is lower vertebrae, I'm now left with 2 like protruding sort of slip discs there as well. I was in so much pain for probably a year of my life. I was on so many meds to just dull some of that pain. So I was half asleep and half in pain. It was horrible. But you can take the medication and sit at home depressed and sort of just let yourself fall asleep and, end up just sort of hating your life and what's happened to me. Or you can look at it as a reason to try and be a better you, and try and look at the problem as a challenge. And, even though I've had all of these issues and been bedbound with them, etc., I would always think, you know what, like, I've been very healthy and lucky up until this point. Some people are born into this world without limbs, with disabilities, with these things, without food, even without water, third world countries. There's so many less fortunate people than yourself. You need to man up to this. You need to get yourself better. You need to think positive in a way. How are you going to overcome this? Rather than think negative about, Paul, woe is me, look what's happened to me. Everyone around me, like, give me some compassion. No, I'm the sort of person, if I'm ill, please just all leave me alone until I'm better. And it's kind of how I was when I was injured. I needed to do it myself, and I needed to get over things myself. I mean, when I had my bike accident, I was in half casts. They take the full casts off my arms and put the half casts on. I got back on my motorbike. It was beaten up, smashed to bits, but it moved. And I just wanted to ride it around my state to know that I hadn't lost the fear of riding a bike. Wow. So I rode around on these, put my helmet on, rode around with these casts on. My neighbours must have thought, what am I doing? Wow. But on this, big estate, just to feel that I haven't lost the fear hasn't got me, and something I loved has been taken away from me. And that's kind of how I was with all of it. So, I broke my back, but I can deadlift 6 plates again and squat 6 plates week in, week out. But I can't do that if I don't go and see someone and have rehab and see, constant physio and, acupuncture and stuff to keep the inflammation down. I'll be back in a serious amount of pain and sciatica again, because obviously you've got to be careful with that kind of load on your back. And it took me about 1.5 years, 2 years to be able to do that again. But I just start with, the bar, and then rather than feel, Jesus Christ, I can only squat the bar, it's killing my back. Well, look at it like, at least you can squat the bar. Some people can't squat it, and you've got a broken back, and you've recovered from it, and you can squat again. So do the bar and then add 5 kilos aside.
It's
and
an interesting point you're raising, mate. Because Dave was actually asking, do you attribute your injury? So you're saying you tore your pec off. Do you attribute your injuries to your training style? Because you train pretty hard. I've trained with you. You've trained harder than anyone I've ever. Do you attribute some of these injuries to your training style?
Yeah, the injuries have certainly come from my training style. In hindsight, I look back and I got the injuries when I'd been post-competition. And in being dehydrated, not only are you dehydrated to look a certain way, but your muscles are dehydrated. So your ligaments, your tendons, and everything's very brittle. And, once you start eating some bad food, you've come off from competition, you've eaten a bit of junk food you fancy, increased your water, gone back in the gym, my God, do you get a pump. You get really vascular, you look like everything you've ever wanted to be in a bodybuilder, and that's you for now. So, yeah, I'm feeling really good and strong. I've got all this fluid in me all of a sudden, and let's go back to 3-4 plates benching. Let's go straight back to that and boom, rip your chest off. And that's what I've done in the past. I've done that because I haven't thought about it in a more mature way. You should cycle your training around competitions and for that period in your life that you're at, So obviously in a dehydrated state, you'd obviously lower your volume and intensity and the weight that you're doing. But when I was younger, I was a bit more haphazard and crazy with, unless I went on a vacation or got an injury, there would be no downtime. And that was kind of the way I was. Whereas now, I think as you're older, you become wiser and your body won't take that. And obviously, I've noticed that with the injuries that I've got. But I've always actually done very well. When I've had a really bad injury, the next competition that I've come back to do, I've always competed and normally done very well because I feel like it's inspired me to push everything harder to get back on stage.
That's brilliant. Dave, I hope that's answered your question, mate. And Obviously, keep them coming. Last question. Now, this is a bit of a tricky question because it's touching on a subject that I think we need to dedicate a lot more time to, and we're not going to shy away from it. But, Robbie, I'm going to throw this one towards you. Like I said, we're a bodybuilding podcast, and we're not going to shy away from any aspects of bodybuilding. Now, a gentleman called Lee Seacham Southend was asking, do you feel anabolics and growth hormone have been beneficial in recovering, or are beneficial in recovering from injuries or operations? Now, I'm not sure if our listeners are all injured or what, but I mean, these guys want to know about recovery. So, just talk us through that, Rob. What's your take on that question? Do you think anabolics and growth hormone are beneficial in recovering from injuries or operations?
Well, the basic answer is yes, because anabolics were actually developed to actually help people who had usually things like AIDS or muscle wasting disorders, cancer patients who were towards their last stages and so on, and just so that they could actually get out of bed and have a wee themselves and just do normal kind of things. And growth hormone, what growth hormone actually seems to do is it's like a fountain of youth kind of drug. So what it actually does in the body is it sort of like increases your regenerative processes so that you actually regenerate faster, and it actually increases other things, the speed, like your body produces more testosterone. So you actually, it's like a youth drug. It really is good in that sort of sense. But saying that, no one's done any research as to if something like growth hormone can actually accentuate something like cancer cells. So that's an interesting thing as well. So no one's actually done that sort of research, so no one knows if it could be good or bad. But generally, I think that taking anabolics, etc., and that is actually okay. I don't think it's within reason. You know, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sort of say this and then someone takes about 10,000 milligrams, ends up dead, and their family starts suing me. I don't want to. I'm definitely not condoning its use. But what I will say is it takes brains, etc., to use this, because people are generally stupid. And what I mean by that is they take something, it works, so they take more of it, and then they take more of it, and they take more of it, and they think, what are these strange pustules of boils going underneath my skin? How did that happen? And by then it's literally too late, because they've kind of pretty much poisoned their body. So, people need to be smart about such things. I mean, testosterone is simply what your balls produce anyway, and you're just taking in extra amounts, which will then give you thicker, harder, more male features, more muscular type development, and so on and so forth. I'm not recommending its use, especially to people with like heart conditions and stuff, and leaky tickers or problems with aneurysms or strokes, because you will increase the chances of those sorts of things. So you just have to be smart, and like I said, I wish people were smarter. I really do. But it does help. Being a biochemist, it actually does help, because it's as simple as this. It's actually dose related. For example, imagine your kid. Your kid's 12 years old, and he or she has a headache. You give them a paracetamol. You give them one paracetamol, because that's what it says on the instructions. One paracetamol. But if it's an adult, if it's you and you have a headache, you take 2 paracetamol. So it should be exactly the same, like almost dosage, according to like your body weight, I think, personally. Because I think then that's a fairer description, or a better description of how to take. It should be like body weight. That, for example, you're not going to take someone, if you're 9 stone, you're not going to take... let's just say the medicines of someone who's 18 stone, if you get what I mean. It doesn't make sense. You're going to get side effects. You're going to get problems. So, I'd say see your doctor, but doctors don't seem to be very good at helping you with these sorts of specific sort of problems.
No, so I mean, that's like I was saying just before you started. This subject is one that I don't think we could cover in a quick answer slot. So Lee, just to recap, Robbie said definitely it will certainly help. Hormone and testosterone will certainly help, as it will help with your injuries and operations. So whatever you're going through, mate, you've got it there. It will help. But this is something that we will be coming back to, I'm sure. And you've got Neale here and Robbie, who basically, like I said, Google for bodybuilding. Now, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. We have to leave it there. Just before we go, I'd like to obviously thank my co-hosts Neale and Robbie, and just a quick word to the sponsors of the podcast. The guys over at Muscle Finesse, they've got a new product called NXT Amino Fuel. And Neale, you've been using it. Could you quickly give us literally just a quick 1 minute sort of feedback on it and what you think of it?
Yeah, no problem. NXT Amino Fuel is a ready-to-drink. They do a powder, actually. They do a powder that you can mix up and take into training, but they also do a 1 litre bottle ready-to-drink, which tastes actually fantastic, like a squash, like an orange squash, or I think they got a blue raspberry sort of flavour as well. And I think they really hit the market well, because most of these drinks are like 250 millilitres or 500 ml max, but this is a whole big litre bottle for, retails I think about £2, £2.50. And it's really highly dosed in branched chain amino acids and citrulline malate, which is, it's going to help you get a pump and help with your recovery process through training. And, if you as I went through through the hard points of training where your blood sugar feels low and stuff like that, this really helped me get through the long sessions. So something I've used to recommend. It's great. I've got some great pumps on it. It certainly helped me, hold on to muscle mass, and, it tastes great. And those times that you can't get to a powder and mix it up and all the rest of it, or you don't want the ag of that, that's available. That's from musclefinesse.com, which are now sponsoring the podcast. They've actually sponsored me for many, many years, and they're a great online store. So I think if you guys want to check out all of the supplements they do everything from every product you can think of, from all the American brands to UK brands and everything in between at pretty much the best prices. So I've used Muscle Finesse for all. Check them out. But we've also got another sponsor, which is part of the Beef magazine, which is Time for Nutrition, and they are more of a mainstay kind of bodybuilding supplement range, sort of taken over from where CNP used to, with the time release protein powders, the glutamine, creatine, sort of basic bodybuilding products, which all taste really good and are the sort of staples within the sport, which are trusted within the British manufacturing as well. So I think that's the main thing. You're going to take a supplement, you need to be able to trust it does what it says on the tin. And that's why I would always use a reputable brand. I wouldn't use any of these online bulk things myself, personally.
And that's fantastic. That's brilliant. Neale, thanks for sharing that with us. Thanks to the sponsors, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Lots in store for the next few podcasts. Literally, keep the questions coming, and we'll hope to hear from you. And hopefully, we'll be back with more great stuff for you next time. Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Now remember, for the perfect recipe, all you need are a few simple ingredients. A little salt, some pepper, some herbs, and not forgetting
The Beef! The Beef magazine. It's all about beef in action. Over 200 pages showing you the weights, the nutrition, and the supplements. Join Britain's biggest readers. Get The Beef at your local newsagent or go to alexmack.biz. The Beef.